Hey y'all, I just started this video a few minutes ago or a couple minutes ago and my phone cut off, so I don't know what that is. I'm starting over. I'm gonna pick up where I left off. It's Monday, by the way, and I'm on my way to volunteer. Y'all know where I left off was I didn't speak to my mother for about a year. The pain of what she had done before she left and went back to Maine, I just couldn't seem to get over that. And it doesn't say much about my Christianity, y'all, and I know that. I admit when I make a mistake, and that was a mistake on my part in cutting my mother off. She was getting older. My mother had been through cancer, chemo, radiation. They gave her so much radiation, y'all, that it melted, fused part of her intestines. She ended up having to have a colostomy. I think I'm pronouncing that right. It's where you have to go to the bathroom in a bag that is attached outside your body. Now, my mother was always so clean and neat and fastidious about herself. You could never call her a high-class lady, but she wore a little bit of jewelry, a little bit of makeup, and I know this must have hurt her deeply. So, I don't remember whether it was cervical or whether it was ovarian. I had a little problem with that myself when I was pretty young. But anyway, when I found out I was pregnant with Sam, besides Mary Jo, and of course his father, the next person I told was my sister. And, I guess she called my mother. Now, I was living in California. My sister was living in Arkansas, and my mother had moved back to Maine. So my sister called my mother. And I know that my mother regretted a lot of things about her children. I think she regretted helping my little brother every time he got into trouble, because it didn't stop him from going to prison and ultimately getting murdered. And I know she blamed herself. We all do. When our children get into trouble, we all blame ourselves, at least to a point. So I got a letter from my mother in the mail. Now, y'all, we hadn't spoken to each other in 10 years. I guess my sister gave her my address, and she sent me a letter telling me that she was so sorry for things. She didn't name them, but for things that she had done that she wished she had done differently. And inside the letter was her phone number. Yeah, I'm trying to keep from crying. Was a check for $1,000. I called her. Now, my mother was poor, y'all. She shopped at Walmart. And I took a different way this time, y'all, because there's less traffic. So I called her and I told her, I said, Mom, I don't need your money. I have a good job. And she started crying and she said, please, Debbie, I only allowed a few people to call me Debbie. And she spelt it D-E-B-I. I don't know why she called me that, because my name was D-E-B-R-A, but she did. And so did my grandmother. And so did my Aunt Daisy. So I don't know what the deal was. I think it had to do with Debbie Reynolds, which that's why she named me that. And she said, please, I have money saved up and I can afford it. And please, please use it. Buy some baby furniture, some diapers, whatever you need. So I did. And then later on, and of course we started speaking after that. You know, it's really hard to maintain silence with one of your parents, and I had already done that for a long time. And I know that my mother was trying her best to make up for the hurt that she had caused me. Well, y'all, what healed me was that toward the end of my pregnancy, my mother called, and she was flying out here from Maine to California to help me when Sam was born. I can't tell you what that meant to me. Now here's an older lady, not in the best of health. She had quit smoking and she had quit drinking sometime back. Her lungs were affected. She didn't have lung cancer, but she did have a hard time breathing. So this woman flew all that way out here. And let me tell y'all, I didn't have any family. I didn't have any help. Sam's father certainly was not there. I had even called him and told him when Sam was going to be born because I got induced. He didn't show up. He didn't care. So, you know, all I had was Mary Jo, and she had a family, and she was working a full-time job. So I didn't have anybody, y'all. I took maternity leave and then ended up going back to work for a couple of weeks because the person that was supposed to be filling in for me, they called me constantly. It wasn't worth it. So my mom got there, I want to say, I can't remember for sure, but I think it was a week after Sam was born, and that was on the 21st of December. I wouldn't have had any Christmas decorations or tree at all, except Mary Jo brought me this mug with a little tree in it. She insisted. So that was mine and Sam's Christmas that year. But my mother showed up, and right after she showed up, Sam got very sick. He had a very high temperature. So he was in the hospital for 3 days. And y'all, I don't know what I would have done without my mother. When I got home from the hospital, I was exhausted. The little stinker peed and pooped and gained weight in the hospital. They never did know what was wrong with him. But I was so thankful, y'all. It was scary. He went in the hospital and had to have a spinal tap. Now, this was a little baby, y'all. He weighed 8 pounds and 6 ounces, 8 pounds, 7 ounces. I don't know. He was a pretty big boy, but to have your infant in the hospital is very, very traumatic. So when I got home, my mom was there. Sam didn't sleep through the night until he was, I don't know, almost 3 years old. I was exhausted. But when he came home from the hospital, I would be up with him, nursing him, changing him, rocking him. And then my mom would get up in the mornings and she would go to the restroom. She would brush her teeth, fix her cup of tea, and then she would take over. She really saved me, y'all. So, was there forgiveness there? You better believe it. You know, even when your mother hurts you, you don't stop loving them. You may put up walls. You may stop communicating with them, but you don't stop loving them. Now, she was there for almost 3 weeks, I think, and then she went home, and we stayed in touch. We talked on the phone at least once a week. Now, my older sister, Bev, that I told y'all about, that's 5 years older than me, that I have no contact with her, she was up there taking care of Mom. So, she finally got really ill, my mother. And I didn't want to go. Not because I didn't love her and because I still had bad feelings or whatever. I didn't want to go because I was afraid to see my mother die. I'm not good with that, y'all. I'll be the first to tell you I am not good with that. But my sister called me and she said, Deborah, you're going. I'm not going by myself. Now, Penny did not have the greatest relationship with Bev. Complicated family dynamics, y'all. But she said, I'm not going by myself. She said, Michael is going to pay your airline ticket and you're going. So I did. And I don't know if I remember telling y'all this or not, but I was on my flight, and you take a big plane and you go out to Maine. You go to Presque Isle, I think it is. I really can't remember. But anyway, you change from a large plane to a very small plane. Now, Penny and I tried to fly together, but we just couldn't manage to hook up. So I was by myself, and I got on that little plane, and I was on this plane with a bunch of senior citizens. They had gone to Presque Isle for some kind of little trip. We were not in the air long at all, y'all. And a goose flew in to one of the propellers, and we had to turn right around and go back. Well, we weren't going to be able to catch another. That was scary, y'all. We weren't going to be able to catch another flight to Caribou until the next day. Mom was in the hospital. I said, oh, hell no. You are going to get me to Caribou. Well, y'all probably know me well enough to know I can really raise the stink when I need to. So they hired a taxi. I'm sure that was really expensive. Well, then all the other little old ladies wanted to go too. They didn't want to wait. So they had to hire 2 taxis. Y'all, we were crammed into this taxi, and I was really anxious because I knew that my mother was dying. And I had to get there before she passed away. She had to know that I was there for her. So, this little old taxi driver, I don't know, he just was putzing along, and I was having a real problem with that, y'all. And I was sitting in the front seat. And I said, I'm going to tell you something right now. If you don't speed up, your ass is getting out of this taxi, and I'm going to drive myself. He sped up, y'all. That's not anything to be proud of, but I was desperate. So he got us there. And he took me straight to the hospital. My sisters were both there. Penny beat me. Well, I was there. I walked up to my mother in her bed, and I reached over and I took her hand, and she opened her eyes and she looked at me and she said, Debbie, you're here. I said, yes, Mom, I'm here. I'm staying. Now, she was on morphine because she was in a lot of pain. So she was pretty out of it. The only other thing that she ever said to me in the 3 days that I was there with her by myself, that she was too weak to even administer her own morphine. And the doctor had come in and said, when she wakes up, and if she's in pain, press this button. The only other thing that she ever said was, Debbie, my back hurts. So I gave her some morphine. I'd never seen a person die before. I'd never ever seen a dead person. I didn't go see my little brother when they had that thing where you go and look at dead people. I couldn't do it. So she passed away, and I was with her when she took her last breath. I left. She was gone, y'all. She was gone. She went to heaven. All that was left was her frail little body. And she didn't need me anymore. And she knew how I felt about funerals. That they are not for the deceased person. They are for the living. And I didn't need to go to her funeral to love my mother or show her respect. So y'all, this has run long, and I'm sorry, but I just wanted y'all to know that it wasn't the money that healed me. It was my mother that came and was with me at a great cost to herself. She was old and she was sick. Well, she wasn't really old, y'all. She was 67. 5 years older than I am right now. Do I think drugs and alcohol, or actually alcohol, she never did drugs that I know of. But did alcohol and smoking cause her to leave this earth sooner than she should have? Yeah, I definitely believe that. But I love my mother, and she knows that. And I can't wait to see her again. Just to give her a hug. I love y'all. And I'm on my way to volunteer today to do some more work. And that's going to be my fun. I don't know that I could say that this video is actually my fun today. But I wanted to share that with y'all because if you have relationships, try to heal them as best you can before it's too late. But try to do something fun today. I don't care if it's soaking your corns in a basin of water. Try to do a little something every day. And I'll talk to y'all later. Bye now.